Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike Marin here. And in this training, we're going to cover the Help-Based Selling System 1.0. Should have said the Help-Based Selling System Easy version. So this is the key to success for those who are not aggressive, not smooth talkers, not an extrovert, and it's really for beginners. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of sales training is it's meant for people that are pretty advanced. I think in the most skills that we learn in life, we should go up a progression and it should get harder and you should add more skills on. Sales is one of those things where it's a one size fits all training. And I don't agree with that. I was a snowboard instructor for years and we would always teach the upper progression, like with 1 foot in and then 1 footed J turns and then 2 footed J turns, then 2 feet, then up to S. And I think, that's a better way to learn sales. And it's actually the way that I kind of naturally learn sales. So let's get into it. And first, let's get into the old elephant in the room again. A lot of elephants in this program, but a lot of people have misconceptions when it comes to sales. And like when you say salesman, they think pushy, they think Wolf of Wall Street, they think coffees for closers, they think, Glenn Ross film, Wolf of Wall Street, right? They think about manipulation, overbearing salespeople, people that are pushy. And these really are the old school stereotypes of sales. And this is not what you're going to have to do in this business or you should ever do in sales ever. If you listen to my call in the coming modules, you will see that it's not pushy. It's not quote unquote salesy, right? There's a much more modern way to sell. And you really need to be good at 3 things as a modern salesperson. You have to be good at asking questions, asking good questions, the ability to listen, and the desire to help. And a lot of that is going to pull you through by figuring out those 3. So let me give you my definition of sales, which is, and again, actually it's not mine, but this is Dan Sullivan's, which I really, really like. It's Dan Sullivan, and then to give credit where credit due, Gulliver Giles, two of my mentors. So selling, getting people intellectually engaged in a future result that is good for them and getting them emotionally committed to take action to achieve that result. So that's very, very good definition of sales. The other one is, what is sales? Sales, and this is from Gulliver, sales is loving your clients enough to call them and offer your help, sit down with them, offer your help, and respecting yourself enough to demand payment for your valued service. It is where love and self-respect meet. That is sales. Sales is all about helping people. And if you get only one thing from this training, I want it to be these next 2 slides, which is this: the law of influence. The law of influence is determined by how abundantly you place the other person's interest first. And there's really 2 frames, which is the fear-based selling frame and the help-based selling frame. And here's the fear-based selling frame. It's all about me, I. It's all about me, my ego. I got to make this sale. I got to close this deal, right? It's about your fear and your BS. Like when you go, you're thinking about what you want, and it's the attention's all on you. Like, oh, what happens if I waste my time? What happens if I don't make any money? What happens if they don't like me, right? If I get rejected, it's desperation. It says I must close everybody, right? I got to close hard, right? And that's really the attention's all on you. And if a lot of people naturally go into any sort of selling situation that way because there's an exchange that's going to happen and they're focused on them. Like, I'm doing this to make money, right? And like I said, the law of influence is how abundantly you place your needs. So the help-based selling frame, which is going to work a lot better. And also when the attention's not on you, that's when you're not as uncomfortable, right? It becomes fun. So the help-based selling frame says, I really want to help this person. I'm going to do my very best to figure out whether this is a fit for them, whether I actually can help them. It says you're pushing people to do the right thing for themselves, right? It should never be about the money. There's money that's exchanged. If it's about the money, again, you're in the fear-based selling frame. You're thinking about your needs. And again, you're not going to sell as well. You are solving their problems, right? Like if they've agreed to have a meeting with you, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're there because they believed that you can help them. You can provide value for them. So what I want you to do from here on out is again, sales has a negative connotation, but nothing happens without a sale. And really, if we get away from those old school selling beliefs and maybe some of the negative experiences that we've had with bad salespeople, what I want you to do now is reframe nothing's a sales call, nothing's a sales meeting. Everything is a helping call or a helping meeting where you're going to go out of your way to really help that person get value, and then you're going to get paid a sliver to deliver. So now let's go into some basic scripts that I think, which is what everyone wants, right? So this is the help-based selling easy version. Now there's a couple versions of this. You're going to hear me do the more advanced version. The reason why there's more advanced version is because that's on a cold prospect, right? That's on a prospect that came from a cold email. In the case study that I show, where I brought in, I think it was $77,000 in 60 days in one niche, right? That's just a full case study. You could hear me do the help-based selling version where it's a two-step close and a bit more nuance. But for the majority of you, what you need is a very basic, not even a script, but a conversation outline. And like I told you in the prospecting video, I made my first 6 figures by studying copywriting and then going to networking events. And by the way, at this time, I was still trying to make money in affiliate marketing. I was trying to make money with all different sorts of methods that there was. CPA, I was doing SEO. But what actually made the money was this stuff, which was going out there. And then I read one book on selling, which was Spin Selling. And I basically had read Never Eat Alone and The Go-Giver, and I was out there to really just deliver value. And again, I made 6 figures back in 2011 doing this at age 22 years old. And that's like, I don't know what that is in today's money, but probably double because of the crazy inflation. But anyway, so what most of you need is a very basic script. And this is even better than what I did when I first started. And I think what you want to do is, I know what you want to do when you're starting out is start with something that's easy to learn. It's not super advanced. Like as you get more advanced, that's when learn a little bit more of the technicals of selling. But for now, really it should follow this basic outline, like rapport. Hey, how you doing? Right? Where you from? If you didn't meet them earlier, right? Hey, it was great connecting you at the meeting. And then right here, this is very important. We're going to pre-frame the questions you're going to ask because it's really weird if you have a conversation. And by the way, you can do this over Zoom. Very simple. Zoom is you get a free hour. You could even pay the $20 a month version. But basically, set it up on Zoom. Use your laptop computer. You get a microphone like this that I have. It's about $100. You don't even need that. It sounds really good out of there. And then I have this little ring light. Which behind there. But just like a little ring light. If you Google ring light, you can put it behind your computer. That way you're not so dark, right? I've actually darked out the shades here so I don't look terrible. And then you can blur out the background in Zoom. Again, this is all, you can look up all this on YouTube. It's all there. But really, if you do this on Zoom, it's like, hey, how you doing? Great meeting you. And then again, you want to pre-frame the questions because you don't want to like rapid fire like a bunch of questions. So what I like to say is like, hey, do you mind if I ask you some rapid fire questions so we can gather the raw materials of the plan we're going to build to help you, whatever they said back when you were networking, right? To help you grow your business, right? You want to keep it specific if possible, but you can always go generic. So really, I just asked like this. So cool. Tell me a little bit about your business. Or can you give me a brief history of your business? Very simple, right? You just get them talking, right? And really what you're trying to do here is you have a goal of what you're trying to figure out. And again, you really want to figure out like what they sell. You want to figure out the math of their business. Every business, like all income problems is built off of math. So like, okay, you sell, you do tanning. Like how much does it cost? What are your packages, right? If you want, you could ask, what's your profit on that package? How many times a year do they go? What's the average customer value, right? Do they go every month? You could rough estimate back of the napkin math for the math, right? And then, okay, walk me through your process to get a tanning, to get a tanning client. Like how do most of your clients find you, right? Do they find you through your website? Is it through referrals or is it drive-by traffic? Like walk me through the process of how you guys get clients. What are you currently doing for marketing, right? What's worked, right? In the past, what has not worked? And you're just really having a conversation and you're getting point A, their current situation, right? And then like what their goal is, right? And I'll give you the second version of this script, but this is very simple. Like, what's your goal? You could ask, right? I didn't have any of the fancy sales stuff that I'm even going to teach you in the second version, but really it's like, where are you at? How much are you doing in revenue? What's your goal? And then it's like, great. So you told me that the tanning customer is worth $1,000 a year for you, or $500 or whatever. So if you get X amount of, 20 more of those, that's going to help bridge that gap. Is that correct? Right. And then any setup questions, and I'll cover what this is, but really you're just like no advice, no problem solving. You're just gathering. And that's like the main thing I got out of that book, Spin Selling, was like, ask them situation and problem questions first. And then really, again, like I always felt a little weird being like, when I was just starting out, asking like, ooh, so what's your biggest challenge? And to be honest, I skipped that. And I made over $100,000 doing this process before I ever got into those fancy questions. That's why I'm like, I know you don't need it, right? What I did do though, was I then started to educate to sell. And this really then is all the stuff I've trained you on, all the slides. You could, reuse those, make those as your own, but use the statistics. Like, hey, according to HubSpot, most people don't follow up, right? What we do is we do email marketing. And then you could just show them like, here's some good examples of email marketing. Use compare and contrast. Like, I've sold lots and lots of SEO. And the way I've done it was like, okay, here's your competitor's page. Here's your page. Here's what good SEO is. Here's what bad SEO is. And I would explain that. Selling Facebook ads, same thing. You could go into the Facebook ads library and show their competitors' ads. You could also show examples of good competitors. You could show statistics of that. And you really just educate. That's why it helps to study. Again, the more you study, the more you're going to be able to educate them. And again, when you educate, back it up with principles, back it up with statistics, back it up with examples. That's why you really want to make this a visual sale. And essentially, a lot of this is going to do the selling for you, right? Because if you're there, if they see that you've studied this stuff, if you know your stuff, like you've put in the work, they're going to be like, yes, right? And then after you've educated to sell, whether, if it's social media content, you educate them on that, You go back to the training and watch it again and then reteach what I taught, right? It's learn, apply, teach, right? Learn it, apply it, practice it. And then when you get here, teach it to a local business owner, because you will learn it that much more when you start to teach this stuff. The teacher always learns more than the student. So not only are you teaching this stuff to learn it better, but this is educating to sell, right? And then what you do is you then prescribe a plan, right? So this very high level, I'd say, great. I'd educate them on why they need content. They're not doing content. We figured that out. And it's like, great. So here's what I recommend you do is let's do 3 of those posts a week, right? Here, following those principles, following those good examples. And that's going to get out to more of your prospects. Like, do you think more of them are going to buy? They're going to be like, yes, right? And then really the simple close that I did, the non-fancy close when I was just starting out was like, what do you think of that plan? And they would say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like I could see how that would make us more money. Or if it was email marketing, I could see how that would work. Or if it was SEO, right? And then all I said for my magic close was, well, would you like my help implementing that? And that was it. Like that was literally it. And then, almost sneezed there. Then all I did was, again, a lot of sales trainers will disagree, and I don't do this anymore. I say, when you actually get halfway decent, you should go for the close on the spot. You absolutely should try to get a payment up front, handle objections. You absolutely should do all that. But when you're just starting out, like I never did all that, still made a ton of money, and it's actually what I recommend. Go away, say, hey, I'll send you over a proposal. If they ask for a price, you could give them a range, like, hey, roughly 250 to 750, and then go away and use the 1-page proposal, right? And all you do is this, right? Like, up here, create a 1-page proposal for social media marketing for a tanning salon, right? And there you go. It's going to pop it up. And then from here, you can modify and make it specific. Set up onboarding, and then right there, So that is literally, one page, Google Doc, right? Send it, export it as a PDF, right? And then bang, you have them a one-page proposal, which this, by the way, if you type in one-page proposal, this is exactly what it covers in the book. It should be on one page and have the price on it. And then from there, have a link for them to pay, whether it's, when I started, I just used PayPal, right? You could use Stripe. Again, a lot of people will disagree with this. I think it's like set something up quick to get paid. I recommend now you start a business. But guess what? I did mine under my social security with my personal PayPal. So you don't need to even set up a business to start making money as a side hustle. Like you can do it under, again, look at your consult an attorney. I'm not a tax professional or anything like that, but I'm just telling you what I did. I went to PayPal, got a link, and I would send it over to them. Right. And that was literally my sales process for the first $200,000 to $300,000 that I made online, was this process. Again, like I didn't really know much about sales other than I studied. I read Spin Selling. There's another book that's really good that I'm going to recommend called by Harry Brown's book. It's actually, I have every one of my salespeople that work for me now read it. So that's very important. And I'll recommend that to you. But that is it. Like, you don't need to complicate the conversation more than that. If your intent is to put their needs first and to give them value, right? So I just want to make this like very easy for you to do, because a lot of people complicate it with like, you're learning Grant Cardone sales, you took a course which are great courses, by the way, right? Like I don't have anything wrong with them, but it's like you got the 7 beliefs of closing, which like close this door, that door, and you got a crazy sheet. Like you don't need that to close deals. So that's like version 0.5. This is kind of like the next version. If you're okay with this is what I would do. You're going to get even better results. So it's like, hey, Bob, it's Mike Marin here. How you doing? Great. Cool. How's the weather where you are? Like break the ice. You don't need to go crazy and talk about sports and anything like that. And then really you move into this, which is pre-frame the question. And this is like the magic question. Again, this comes from Dan Sullivan, who I mentioned earlier. He's got a whole book on this. I forget the name of it, but it's like the DOS system. But essentially the question is like, if we were having this conversation and it's 12 months from today and we are looking back over the past 12 months of having worked together, what would have to happen for you to feel happy with your results, right? Or you don't even need to say, I've haven't worked together. You could just say, if we were having this conversation and it's 12 months from today and you were looking back over the past 12 months, like what would have to happen for you to feel happy with your progress and your results with your business, right? Great question, because it gets them into the future. He's got a whole book on this, but it gets them into the future, looking back and really figuring out like what they want out of their business. But you can't really go out and just say that. What you want to do is you want to pre-frame it. So I like to say, well, okay, like again, we pre-framed it up here very simply. Here, same thing. Well, okay, the purpose of this call is I want to work together and hopefully on this conversation, find a plan that is going to help you achieve the results that you want. Okay. So now to begin, I'm going to ask you a question. This question may seem a little strange, so I want you to kind of bear with me here. The reason I'm asking it is because it's going to help us gather the raw materials that I'm going to need to help us build this plan together. Does that make sense? Right? Those are tie downs, by the way. Anytime you're like, does that make sense? Does that sound good? The book by that is a Tom Hopkins book. The more you can learn these tie downs and getting them to say yes, the more you control. Again, this is like asking good questions, the more you're going to control the conversation. Now, the magic question, if we were having a conversation 12 months from today and you were looking back over the past 12 months, what would have happened for you to feel happy with your results? And again, they're going to start to talk to you. They're going to give you their outcome. And then what I like to do, again, this is bonus, but this is like a little bit better. Like, cool. You want to get another 10 cool sculpting patients. What's important to you about that? Just so I can completely understand, like what's important to you about getting 10 new patients a month. And then they're going to tell you more, right? They're going to say like, hey, that way we could open up another location. I could get some staff and I could pull away. I could get a technician, right? And that's pretty much it. Like, and what you could say is like anything else, right? That's always a good line. Anything else or what else, right? Another little trick is you could pare it back. And this works amazing. If they're like, yeah, I'm just looking to grow my business. If it's not specific, you'd be like, okay, grow your business. Just say that. And they're going to start talking, right? I want to start another location. Okay, cool. another location? Say what they say back with a little tonality question mark, right? So once they've gone that, you'll have a good idea of like what their goals are. You'll provide value by having them describe, you guys both looking at what they want. And then what I like to say is like active listening. Well, hey, I've been taking some notes here during our conversation. And by the way, good to take notes, right? Shows them that you're paying attention and also like helps you remember it. So taking some notes here during our conversation. And I just want to repeat back what I heard so nothing gets like lost in translation. If I heard you correctly, you told me that you wanted another 20 patients a month. Anything else? And you wanted to do this, and this, anything else? Did I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here? Right. And that's it. You're going to get their goal. You're going to see what their desires are. And then really it's like, okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about your business. Right. And then you're back into this thing. Can you give me a brief history of your business? Right. And I give you some questions here. Can you explain to me in one sentence, like a fifth grader, what is it that you sell? What's the main thing you guys sell? Cool. And what is it that, how many employees do you currently have? That's going to give you the business size, right? If you don't feel comfortable asking, what's your average monthly revenue right now, right? You could then start to do the math, all the stuff up here, right? That'll be talked about. So it's okay, what's an average customer worth to you? How much do you charge for that? Great. So, how many cool sculpting patients do you need to hit to sell to hit that 20 patients a month, whatever that happened to be, if they gave you a number, right? Do you sell anything else, as a Botox or whatever, right? And really, that's really what you're figuring out here. And then I want you to figure out, what I like to do is figure out what's their process to sell one. So okay, I want to perfectly understand, tell me what happens to sell one tanning salon package. What happens? Where do they see you? Do most of them come through the website? Do most of them come through word of mouth, right? Do you guys run ads? Do they find you through social media? And they'll tell you, right? And then if they have a complicated one, it's well, what has to happen? Okay, so you sell cool sculpting, right? Or you sell chiropractic care. How do you normally sell that? You do it in person through a report of findings. Okay, got it. And what has to happen before that? Where does that lead come from usually? Oh, they book an appointment. Okay, got it. And then how are they seeing you, right? And then it's okay, cool. So who primarily does your marketing? What percentage of your sales come from online? And then right here, these are the optional setup questions, right? So if you know what you're going to sell, you could always set up the sale. So if you're trying to sell email marketing, it's cool. So just out of curiosity, how often do you email your customers? Okay, great. So, wow. So you guys only email them about once a month at most? Okay, got it. And what about text? You guys text them? See, you're setting up the need for email marketing, right? Or if you're doing social media marketing, it's cool. So how often do you post on social media, right? Who manages your social media now? Oh, you do it. Okay, cool. Are you... how many hours a week do you put into managing that? These are all setup questions, right? Or are you pretty much too busy with your practice to do it, right? If you're selling reviews, what current process do you get for reviews, right? If you're gonna sell them Go High Level or installing a CRM, okay, is there any kind of software you use to manage your customers and leads, right? If you're gonna sell them SEO, what are you doing on a monthly basis, right? And that's pretty much the setup questions that are gonna get that gap. So that's pretty much it. Again, expanding. Again, I'm just showing you how to expand on this and be a little bit more technical, right? Set up questions what's worked in the past, the process, the math, what they sell, right? That's pretty much what you need. And then really it's the same thing, right? Even the more advanced version is okay, great. I think I got the raw materials. Now let's get to work, right? And from there, it's really just contrasting with competitors, teaching, contrast with good example, back up with statistics, and really want to end with a question, right? So it's do you think if we emailed them 3 more times a week instead of once per month, do you think that would result in us filling up some more mats? You said you're getting about 100 inquiries every month, and about 3 of them are booking, but the other 97 you guys aren't following up with because you don't have the systems in place. Do you think it would be reasonable to assume that if we were to send out emails 3 times a week, that would result in at least a few more coming in, right? Based off of the numbers from other businesses. And you said that, your average, Brazilian I'm just making this up right there. I've never worked with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu place, but like you say that the average jiu-jitsu person pays, $90 a month and stays for, 10 months. So that's an extra $900 in your back pocket. If we get a few of those by doing email, like, cool, right? What do you think would happen if we were to do that, right? Always ending with a tie down, right? And again, this is from Tom Hopkins stuff. I think he was the first guy to really teach this, right? Another good book, The Secret of Tom Hopkins, Secret of Selling Anything I think it's The Secret of Selling Anything, right? And then you could always tie it down like, cool, sounds like that's something we should do, right? Great. We'll add that to the plan, right? So you're just doing that, asking good questions, teaching to sell. And then from there, it's like, great, prescribe the plan. Okay, we've gotten a lot done today. We've covered a lot of good stuff. I think it sounds like based on what you told me, the best course of action would be to, add an email opt-in with a better bribe. Right now, it's just a free consultation. We could do a free, free guide on how to relieve your back pain, as well as, free consultation for chiropractic, right? And then, based on what you said, you're not emailing them. So what we could do is follow up by text, all the incoming leads, as well as an automated follow-up for up to 100, for a full year, where we could really follow up and email them things on how to help their back pain, and also redirect them back into an initial consult, which you said was the big beginning of your sales process. So you could do that report of findings and then turn them into a patient. So like that, based on what we said, I think that's the best course of action. Great. How does that, that sounds like a pretty good plan to me, doing the math here. Always try to do the math. Like, how does that plan sound to you? Right? And they're like, yeah, that plan sounds great. Then the close is very simple and very magical. It's like, cool, I agree. I think it's an awesome plan. Like, I've really enjoyed working with you. It's been fun meeting you here at the coffee shop, or been fun chatting with you over Zoom. Would you like me to help you implement this plan? And that's it. You shut up. You look at them. You don't move, really. You could smile if you want, but you look at them, and then it's no pressure. If they're like, no, that's cool, I'm going to do it myself. Great. Cool. And if they do say yes, right? Cool. Great. I'll send you over a proposal, right? Like, again, not the greatest sales, but you're going to make deals and it's very beginner friendly. So you send over a proposal of how much it is, and that's it. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, again, watch my calls on, where I quote the price live and do everything live, and then get the credit card immediately, which is really what you want to move to. But if you're just starting out and you've never done sales, this is the way to do it, because you're going to work your confidence up, and you could always add to this. You could always start to then do this whole process, and then right here, go over your pricing and then close right there, right? So easy objection handling. And again, some sales trainers might not agree with me with this, but if they say no or have objections, because you've now just taken time and you've delivered massive value, and there's one of you and there's many of them, I say, cool, great. Is there anything I can help you with today? Now, obviously, if they ask you a question, answer the question, right? But they're like, cool, so how does it work? How much do you charge, right? How much does it cost? Great, yeah. So usually it's anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 based on off the packages and what you want. Like those 3 a week, that would be $750, right? And a lot of them might go, cool, great. Yeah, let's do it, because you just built up the value for them. They're like, great, I'll send you over a proposal. But if they're like, no, that's way too much money, it's like, great. Sounds good. Is there anything else I could help you with today? That's it. Like, you'll make sales like just because it's so different, right? Everyone's trying to handle objections, right? And if you get more skilled, right, you should go to Nice Guy Negotiation, which I'll train later, as well as, or in a different program or whatever. There's I have 3 levels. One is no objection handling, right? Then there's Nice Guy Negotiation, and then there's more like Gulliver Giles style, Armor of God, to use his IP, and then really rebuttals would be like the Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort type stuff, which I think is good to learn still, because then you're a better salesperson, right? So this is like the easy objection handling. And really it's like I gave them good advice. That's the end of the call or the Zoom meeting. And like there's more of you, like you don't need to beg for business. There's plenty of people that need your help. And again, like I said, if they answer a question, like answer it. Don't be like, oh, well, it sounds like we're good, right? And then a lot of times if you ask their questions and you want to loop back, like, cool, what do you want to do? Like, that's it. If they're like, ooh, it sounds like a ton of money, like $750, you can say, great. If it's easier, I can split up that into 2 payments. Would that work better for you? Great. No, it wouldn't. Cool. Right? So very simple. You could even do some basic, like, honestly, for like the first couple 100,000 I made online, I did no objection handling at all. It was literally, if they gave me an objection, I would kind of be like, I didn't really know what to say. So I really kind of said this, like, cool, is there anything else I can help you with today? All right. And then they'd be like, well, actually, is like, could you, and then you go back and forth. Right. And again, your goal is not to close everyone, but that's that. So practice, like, again, you're not going to get this right away. It's going to take practice. Like sales and business is the only sport in the world where people don't practice. So if you want to get good at shooting baskets, you got to shoot baskets. If you want to get good at this process, you got to do this process. This is like the minimum viable level for you to get a 6-figure income is this. And again, people will disagree. Like, hey, you should train up on objections. And guess what? I actually agree with them. Like, you should get better at sales. You'll never go wrong in business getting better at sales or marketing. I just think when you're first starting out, it's so stressful to, number one, try to get the credit card right there. Number two, try to handle objections, that you don't need to do that. As long as you focus on, again, having the right mindset, having the right principles, and using that law of influence, right? The more you put their needs first, the more it's all about them, you're going to start to close deals, because this stuff is extremely valuable. So here's some recommended reading. This book, Harry Brown's Secret of Selling Anything to Anybody, is my favorite sales book. Anyone that I hire on, it's mandatory that they read that. And then again, the other book is Spin Selling, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want from them, but that alone is going to give you a good base as well as this. So really get out there. I've now given you the prospecting training on how to land deals, and this is how to have a simple conversation, a simple framework that's going to lead to people giving you thousands and thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars every single month. And again, the more advanced version, we're going to go to that later, and you can hear me do the 2-step close with more nuances and all that. So when you get better at this, then you can start to graduate. So really enjoyed making this video for you, and hope you got a lot out of it, and I'll see you in the next video.